Let me into my zone. Let me into my zone. Please don't let me into my zone. 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 Please don't let.
Well. Welcome to this new week, a new Monday of new opportunities, and it's a holiday week. So I want to wish you a happy holiday season, whether that's Happy Christmas or, Merry Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah, or Merry Kwanzaa, or whatever the fuck that one is. They're all the same thing, man. It's about intent, and I'm trying to wish you well over here, no matter which holiday you celebrate. Hope it's a good week anyways, and if you don't celebrate any of them, well, have a nice Monday. Anyways, because it is a holiday week, we're running 20% off of all the programs throughout now till the end of the year, actually. No code is needed. Just go onto the website crowntrading.net, which I'll actually bring up right here, and that link is in the description below. So I want to briefly talk about the programs just because I know that there's going to be some questions regarding them. First and foremost, we have the technical analysis program right here. That's the program that is that's the one that is most relevant to most people, if you are even the type of person who this is relevant for to begin with, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is this program is the all-encompassing technical analysis program. It talks about not just technical analysis, but also risk management, position management, understanding underlying market dynamics, and then a host of bonus modules, of which the program has pretty much doubled in size since it was first released almost a year and a half ago now, which is kind of crazy to think about. Anyways, that one is, again, that one is typically what most people are looking for, but I want to make sure that it's a good fit. So as always, I want to make sure that it's understood that first and foremost, this program, and actually both these programs, the TA program and the options program, are over 35 hours long. In fact, the TA program is probably a little bit longer than that now, as we have been adding more and more content. So make sure that you have enough time to actually, make use of the program. It's very important to me to make sure that's a good fit, and it's not going to be a good fit if, one, you don't have the time, and two, you're not really interested in the space to begin with. So of course, I'm not here to make that decision for you, but I am here to say, hey, if you are a little bit on the edge, definitely reach out to me to make sure it's a good fit. It's likely that if you are on the edge, it's probably not a good fit. I've had a strong feeling that people who know that they're interested in this, they know themselves. But at the end of the day, have to answer some questions as well. So all good. And of course, it is going to be a lot of work. I want to always be straightforward with this. None of these programs are magic pills. They are very intense. They are very comprehensive. But at the end of the day, it's still going to require a ton of work on your own end. As with any skill, once you have the information to actually apply that over time, which is what is going to generate results. So definitely read the reviews, watch the introduction videos right here and right here. They'll explain it a little bit more in detail. And then of course, I should also briefly explain the Master Your Options program. That is just a program about understanding and trading options strategies. So this one is less relevant to most people. Like for every 10 people that might be interested in the TA program, which is already like 1 out of 1,000 to begin with, maybe like half of a person should be interested in the options program. It's a much more intense program. I would say do not go into it unless if you have a decent enough understanding about technical analysis. And options, of course, are a little bit more intricate, require a little bit more of a learning curve. So again, it's a very, very long program, just like the TA program, and this one a little bit more difficult, but I would say that, well, options, I'm a little bit more biased towards options because that's where I started out. That's where I was a professional trader on the floor of New York Stock Exchange market as a market maker, authorized trader with equity options. And to me, options are kind of like the basis of my strategy, which is really sad right now because I'm not using any exchange that actually has access to options. In fact, I have to wait a little bit, like another few weeks until I can get on one once again. But in the meantime, definitely consider that one. So the Joule indicator is also going to be coming back in a few days as well, but still have to figure out a few things on the back end. But for right now, it is on the way, my friends. It is on the way, and it'll be having the same sort of 20% discount as well. It'll be on a monthly schedule, or sorry, a monthly subscription rather than a like one-time thing. So we've changed the model with it, and on top of that, the Krown trading app is going to be coming out either today or tomorrow. We'll see how the developers can do. It is a holiday week, of course, so I do want, I don't want to be like the fucking slave driver, cracking the whip. But it has been made clear that we likely do get it out either today or tomorrow. which I'm very excited about. That's going to be 100% free for the base application, and it'll be available to all operating systems and all devices. So really excited about that. With all of that said, I think it's time to get into actually, I think we're already in the live scene. Let's go talk about some goddamn Magic Internet money. So let's get on over here. Flip the script a little bit, and Bitcoin taking the northern path actually, and having a nice little rally from yesterday. So this was for me, of course. I was looking at this price action right over here, over the weekend, and we actually did get the move. Now, I was kind of neutralish to slightly downwards twisted just because we were still in a downtrend as of this moment right here, but we did hit the triggers for initiating that upside. So this is, again, why I am happy to be positionless during these periods of times, because realistically, all you have to really do is let price action tell you what to do. So let's kind of go over it a little bit in the lower time frames, and we'll kind of go over the bigger time frame look and see how this has changed around the picture, or if it has changed around the picture. And from there, let's get on into it. Okay, so you do see that Bitcoin has actually had a little bit of a change of behavior here on the lower time frames. Let me just make sure that I'm recording. My phone's working. Great. Okay, perfect. The 200 simple, this white moving average right here, we've actually successfully opened and closed a few dildos above there. We've been unable to do that since the upper 8,000s actually. So to me, this is actually quite a big deal. This is the lowest time frame where I think things start to matter, especially when we come into like the week's trading activity. So I would say that as long as Bitcoin's above this 200 simple now, which is actually going to curl around our last prior high and kind of protect that in a sense. As long as we're above that, I actually do think that we have short and medium term upside from this region. Now we spoke about this coming into this week on Friday, that if Bitcoin closed the 3-day above the 200 simple, I would be neutral to slightly looking up, and that's kind of what we're getting right now. Although, I was looking for a move back down to test around 7,000 or 6,950. We didn't quite get that. We got down to like 70, 30, 70, 40. Didn't quite get there though, but fair enough. Anyways, as it stands, looking at lower time frame momentum oscillators, we are getting a little bit tired in this region. We do see 4 hours showing a little bit of weakness here. We got 4-hour RSI looking like it wants to come back down and test around the edge of the bullish control zone. But overall, this is fine. This would just be kind of like a nice little pullback off after a nice breakout. And of course, we spoke about this, I believe, just looking at straight up trend lines right here. As far as these targeted regions go, yeah. So we did get that close above this horizontal right here. That was a critical one yesterday at 72.50. As soon as we got that, or even just ticking above, as we spoke about, that was what initiated that next target to 76.50, of which, did we hit that? Yeah, we did. About 76.42, spot 66 on GDAX, and I'm curious what Mexico put up. 76.42. So pretty good. Again, very, very short-term time frame type stuff right here, but did happen to work out. Even the very, very low time frame symmetrical triangle that we were looking at here on the Twitch live stream played out for the short-term gain to 73.50-ish region. So again, the lower time frames actually have been getting things relatively right recently. So when that's happening, it's just go with it until it doesn't work anymore. So I would be looking for a pullback now on Bitcoin. I mean, we're kind of already getting it, so I'm not really saying anything like of too much note. But anywhere between the 200 simple and the 200 exponential moving average, which would create a range between our last prior high of about 73.50 and low 74.25 right here. So anywhere between there, I would be looking for a pullback on. But Bitcoin's done some pretty significant things here. We've closed a higher high above this guy right here. We've actually cleared even this 75.50-ish region coming back from early December, and that's going to start to carry on over into the higher time frames. So let's start to migrate on over there. Let's go over to the daily first and foremost. And the daily got its first closure above the 21 exponential moving average, which we have been unable to do again since actually even before we lost that 4-hour support on the crack below 9,000 over here. And what I've been saying for the past week or so, or well, really for like the past couple months, is that I'm not bullish as long as we're below the yellow 21 exponential moving average on the daily. However, I am, now that we've closed above it, I am looking at this as likely to give another try to the upside. And technically on the daily, we haven't really closed a higher high just yet, but I would say that this is, looking more or less okay for probably a little bit more continuation. So what I'm trying to say here, in the case that I'm really trying to construct, is that yes, we do have a local low in place. Well, we have 2 local lows in place, but more importantly, we do have a nice base to rally off of in the short to medium term. Longer term timeframes still very much bearish, and I don't really have anything to, I don't really have any reason to like change my opinion on those just yet. Of course, the same areas that we've been looking at for the past, few months are still very much relevant. But for now, short and medium term, I do think that Bitcoin is is, more or less bullish here, as we did hit again the first couple targets to the upside, 73.50, and then the extension to 76.50 right after that. Next sort of area that I'd be looking for is actually right around about 7,800, give or take about $50 from that price point, and it is looking more and more likely that we should make a move up towards there. Looking at the 2-day, do we have anything to be aware of right here? Technically on the 2-day, to be fair, it is a little bit sombering to look at the 2-day and see that we're still being held below the 21x Benjamin average, but it is a little bit too early to judge this one, I believe, as we don't get another closure on this one until tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, in fact. So looking at momentum oscillators, we actually do paint a little bit more of a rosier picture, like good old O'Donnell. But 2-day Stokes looking good over here. 2-day RSI is going to buck the trend of hidden bearish divergence, or hold on, let's confirm this first. Actually, no, it's not done that just yet, unfortunately. So fair enough. We can't really see too much other than that about it. I would say though that if we can close this next 2-day dildo above the 21x Benjamin average, which is about 75.50, 7600, which would also create a higher high over this double top right here, very, very likely that we will move our way all the way back up to the low 8,000s. In fact, so that's probably the next biggest thing that is closing the soonest that could give us major clarity into the next week or two of price action, I'd say. So yes, keep your eyes on the 21. It's a little bit above 75.50 right now, but I would say that if we get a close above there, then yes, we likely do make a run into the lower 8,000s. Again, just because I'm bullish on the short and medium time frames now does not mean that I am calling a reversal from here. I think it's still very much too premature to call a reversal here, and of course we still got this. Let's actually just get a whole new chart right here. Still got this descending trend line coming in all the way from our prior high, which would be medium price action somewhere in the upper 8,000s this region. So if things really did get crazy over here, I would say as much as almost $9,000. But remember, even that wouldn't really break this area. And I'm sure that people are calling this a bull flag. It is not a bull flag, but it is a falling channel, which typically does break out to the upside. Something like this, although it is a little bit more sloppy than you really expect to see. Unfortunately, it doesn't really make things easier, but it does provide a very good impetus for judging this next phase of price action, if you want to call it that. And let me get, I don't know why I have so many, I don't really need these alerts anymore because we're probably not coming back down there right now. There we go. And well, I do want to keep that one in there just in case. So yes, this is kind of the way that I see it right here. In fact, looking at the 2-day, the 2-day is getting things extremely well. We have the 2-day 200 simple to the downside. That is currently right around $7,000. We got the 2-day 200x Benjamin average right here at about $7,750, $7,800 right here. That is the range. And as long as we're within that range, I actually do think that we probably give another few tries the upside. However, the big things with this is that we can judge the next big move, I suppose you could say, by looking at a breakout or breakdown from that area. So in this case, a breakdown below the 200 simple, if we close any sort of 2-day dildos below there, essentially below 7,000, I do believe that we'll be heading back down to the prior lows and beyond, probably into the upper to mid 5,000s, in fact. But for right now, this is a pretty damn good working low as it stands. We do see bullish divergence on the 2-day as we spoke about, and we did hit the easy target from that at 75.50. So the next thing would be the 200x Benjamin average right here. If we do get above there, if we can close some 2-day dildos above there, then yes, I do believe that we'd probably work our way into the mid to low 8,000s, very, very likely. And then we'll have to come back and kind of reassess from there, as we're getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves right now. But I would say that the odds are favoring a little bit more sideways in this region, and then probably another try to the upside after that. After that last move that we saw in the last 24 hours. So pretty damn impressive for a nice little Santa Claus rally, perhaps. Looking at the 3-day, we have that? No, we do not have bullish divergence on the 3-day, but we do see 3-day Stokes getting freshly across the upside. This will confirm, yes, later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if we close anywhere here or above, I do believe that that's going to not only confirm the cross the upside, but we likely will get an official test at the very least of the 21x Benjamin average, which is in line with our last prior high, 7,800 for that next targeted region. And that's where the next sort of fun thing can begin. Now, if Bitcoin does actually clear there, if it actually does close above, especially above the 21, I would look for extension again into probably actually the mid 8,000s. It's not going to be, at the snap of fucking fingers, but over time, maybe over the next week or two, I would be looking for that area to be met. that. So for right now, it's still a little bit too early to be calling these things. We got a long day of trading left to go, and let's actually go check out how CMEs are doing today. CMEs probably printing a nice gap in price action. So if Bitcoin does come back down to about 72, where's the high of that? 72.35. I probably would look for a bounce around there. But here's a big thing. Here's a very, 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 very big thing. I would become immediately bearish for us going back down to the mid 6,000s, like 66 to 6,500, if we take out this Friday low from the 19th. That is 70.85 on CMEs. So I'm actually going to put an alert there right now, and I strongly caution against this region. As long as we don't violate this region, I can remain short and medium term bullish, even though we probably do get a pullback from this region. But as long as we don't violate that area, I do believe that Bitcoin probably does give another try to the upside. Remember, we do have. Remember, the daily for CMEs is still very much bearish. We got the death cross running over here. We're above the 21 now. We're above the 10, and they actually both have positive slopes. But as it stands, it still kind of presents a big barrier for price action. And of course, the 200 simple would likely be a target if we do actually really play out the next major move to the upside, which is going to be on CMEs right around 8,400. And remember, coming back on over here, I want to do a little bit of historical analysis on this one. I promise I won't do too much because I just uploaded a video yesterday in the long-term analysis playlist for that purpose. but going back into Bitcoin right here, remember, Bitcoin got all of the nasty crosses that you don't really want to see. Hold on, there's something missing here. There's the 89 missing. That's what's up. All right, cool. So we get the death cross right here. We get all lower periods below higher periods right here. We get negative slopes on all major moving averages right here. And we have a very similar overplay to that, to what we've seen in the past, in fact. And again, this is not a fractal. In fact, the next piece that we're going to add on to this is going to show why this is not, and why using a standardized tool like moving averages in this case is actually massively helpful in what we kind of judge forwards from there. So yes, very, very similar signature to what we saw right over here, right? Bitcoin gets a death cross right here, green below the purple. We get all lower periods below higher periods right here with the cyan below the purple. Then we get price action below everything and being held below the yellow 21 exponential moving average as it gets shuffled on down. And all major moving averages get a negative slope, including the 200 simple at this price point right here. Now, soon after that, Bitcoin actually does regain its footing on the 21. And the 10 simple actually does kind of dance around with it. But more importantly, once Bitcoin regains the 21, that's when that run to the downside is over. And I would suggest the same thing over here. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin can't come back down and maybe graze this area. That area being like low 7,000, like 7,150, 7,200-ish region. In fact, that's actually in some ways maybe even a little bit likely. But I would say that this run to the downside that we saw born off of this death cross right here is now going through a period of contraction where we'll probably test some upside. And you will notice, actually, I'm not suggesting that this is going to happen, but I just want to show that Bitcoin did pop all the way up over here throughout this kind of failed rally attempt. What do we want to call this? A bull trap, essentially. Let me just get this off right over there. There we go. And we actually did end up testing the 200 simple, but by that point, the 200 simple had a very aggressive negative slope, and that became our next major high. Well, kind of similar to what we could do on over here, because remember, where does that long-term downtrend resistance come in from the last prior high of 14,000? Well, if we put this baby on right here, you do see it's coming in right here. Where would that be akin to? The white 200 simple on the daily. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin can't get back above it, but as long as Bitcoin's below the 200 simple on a daily, I'm not macro bullish. And what's also important about this is that it does kind of govern our last major high in late October right here. Now, of course, we do have a few highs before that, but as far as like the macro goes, I would say that this one certainly holds precedence, which is in the mid 9,000s essentially. So the 200 simple is actually curling down below that and is in line with this long-term resistance trend line. So if we were to pop back up and test it, I would actually be looking for rejection around there first and foremost. But that does offer up the potential that we actually do have, potentially even like a $2,000 rally from this price point and still remain overall macro bearish. So it's going to be a long waiting game right now. This is the ebbs and the flows of the market that make it difficult to just be like completely one-sided. So for right now, I would remain kind of like short-term, medium-term, semi-bullish, I suppose. But we probably do test some downside in the lower time frames here. So maybe short term, I shouldn't say that I'm actually bullish. I should say that I am looking for a little bit of a pullback into this region, and then we'll kind of judge from there. But as long as we remain above essentially this base, which is a little bit below 7,100, I'm not looking for like a major breakdown or anything like that, but Bitcoin has some pretty nasty pullbacks, of course. Okay, what else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about expected moves with regards to historical volatility, and we do see that we are filling out the first deviation pretty damn well. Top side is coming in right around about 7,700, which would be around kind of our upper target. Although I would actually suggest that it's more like 7,800ish region, but you'd imagine that it's all within the same area, really. The first standard deviation to the downside is right around 7,250ish region, so it is unlikely that we do break down today or anything like that. And again, the critical area for me right now is basically this base right here. Is this base right here, as I try to get my words out properly, which is again a low of about 70.80, 70.50 if we just want to make it easy on English, and that would actually be right around the second standard deviation to the downside. So that is actually less than a 2.5% chance to happen today. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, but it's very unlikely to happen today is what I'm trying to say. Yesterday we even had, we had a little bit of an improbable situation go on, 16% chance that we actually broke out to the upside, and we actually did do that. So, fair enough. It's just a probability at the end of the day. So fair enough. Okay. What else do we want to talk about while we're here? Yeah, I haven't looked at the weekly yet. This is actually a fresh look on the charts for me. Weekly regained the Cyan 89 exponential average. So I do think that Bitcoin has a nice base in here. Technically we got a little bit of a higher low now, don't we, coming in from this low right here. So I would actually look likely for 7250 to be retested, somewhere around that region. But to me, this looks like Bitcoin wants to give wants to give a run up into the upside and test, wherever our most relevant resistance is on a weekly schedule. Now, here's the thing with the weekly. No pun intended here. With the weekly, this is a massive bull wick, so usually we are going to see follow through from that. And technically we've actually already seen follow through because we did get a new high on this week. But my point is that we're likely to fill out this range for the next, month or so. The range being, I just completely. All right, well, we can just do this again, I suppose. The range being, again, on the weekly, this guy right here. So we've been finding our lows pretty consistently along this trend line. We've been finding our highs pretty consistently along this trend line. We just tested the lows. We probably come back in and probably test them around the median of the range, which is going to be around the 10 simple or 21, which is kind of where I'm getting that mid to low 8,000s number from, maybe in like the next month or two. So this is actually starting to be interesting from a higher time frame perspective, because looking at what we've done right here and keeping in mind that that the month is ending relatively soon, about a week. Yeah, about a week. Let's see. Let me just make sure that everything's good over here. Okay, cool. Yeah, we got about another week more. It is time to start looking at the monthly a little bit more. And if the monthly does end like this, if the monthly ends like this with a massive wick below the 21, and we actually close above the 21, which again is about 71.20 right now, I would look for another rally attempt to the top side of the range coming into next month, actually. In this case, it would likely be somewhere in the mid 8,000s, maybe even upper 8,000s. Things get a little bit crazy, but that probably wouldn't happen till, later in January, I'd imagine. So this has changed around the picture just a little bit, but I still have to go back on over here, and I am very concerned about these momentum oscillators. We see monthly Stokes rejecting the bullish control zone and down. We see monthly RSI. It is flattening out a little bit, but that's not good enough. As long as we're below the exponential on this, I am macro bearish, but I can be macro bearish and we could still rally up, $1,000, $1,500 from this price point. It would just suggest that next month of January, maybe even February, we do play out a bounce from this region. But from a monthly perspective, it is difficult to be even like macro bullish as long as we're below this kind of like last stutter step right here, which is mid 9,000s actually. So again, accurately protecting our last lower high on a weekly right here. And I would still exercise caution on this. I don't think that it's a done deal that Bitcoin is just like reversing here to all-time highs. I think that Bitcoin's reversed here, but we're probably going to be testing into like the upper 7,000s, mid to low 8,000s is quite likely, I'd imagine. And then further down the line, we can come back and reassess from there. I think saying anything more than that would be getting too far ahead of myself and just kind of diminishes the picture of the actual analysis. So let's actually start to I want to see if the if CMEs is showing anything a little bit more obvious. I don't really see anything here. Weekly looks a little bit better on CMEs for a nice local low to work off of. What about lower time frames? Lower time frames found a nice local high right here. I do think that we're due for a pullback, most likely today, probably back down to like 73 or maybe 72.50ish region. But again, that would be a nice little gap fill, and I probably would be looking for a bouncy bounce there. Again, if we actually destroy that region and come even below the last week's low, which was 70.80, I believe it was, I'd get bearish for move back down to back down to this region actually here, 68 and lower. But I don't think that happens from this region. But hey, again, my opinion is irrelevant to what actually happens. That's why I go over the TA rather than put emphasis on my opinion. My opinion's wrong on the fucking time. Anyways, let's go check out the top shitcoins. I'm curious if they're showing anything a little bit more obvious. Or actually, first, before we do that, let's go look at Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to imagine that the dominance did move up with that move on Bitcoin, as anytime like Bitcoin moving down or up causes the dominance to move up as usual. So I'd imagine that most alts are still bearish versus Bitcoin, and yes indeed we got the pullback that we're looking for, and now we're lifting back off again, and the weekly is looking very, very good, closing above all major moving averages here. Even if we came back down to like 69.9 to 69.8, I'd be looking for a major bounce there, and I do think that we're going to work our way back up to the prior highs and probably beyond. The prior high being somewhere right around like 72%, a little bit above 72%, and then probably beyond. This is massively bullish to me. This is a very good consolidation, very, very constructive since the lows. Big move up, come back down, consolidate, big move up, consolidate, big move up, consolidate. You get the idea. So I'd imagine most alts versus Satoshis are not going to be looking pretty damn good, and I'd imagine that some like Cardano is not just confirming another lower high right here, but getting ready to trend to the downside. And in fact, I do think that we're breaking the lower time frame. No, we're not. Are we breaking the lower time frame structure? Yes, we are. Yeah, actually, we are. Oh no, Cardano! Fuck. Fuck. I watched the new Witcher series on Netflix, I think it is, and there's just an amazing scene in the beginning where he's cornered by all of these like never do wellers, and they're telling him how they're gonna beat him up, and he says, "Fuck." It's so fucking good, man. It's so cheesy, but goddamn, man, it is. It's very entertaining if you're looking for something to do over the holiday season. Probably not the best family-friendly show, though, I would say, unless you like watching sexual scenes with your parents, which who doesn't? Anyways, looking at this right here, it does look to me like Cardano probably does come back down to like 430, and I'd imagine most alts versus Satoshi is going to be looking very similar. So let's go look at Mr. Buterin versus Bitcoin. Actually, not so much here. I mean, it is bearish, don't get me wrong, but I think that we probably bounce first, maybe bounce back up to like 1,830,000 Satoshis, but then I'd be looking for continuation from there. We got a big problem. Momentum also is turning down as price action confirms another lower high. Weekly RSI looks bearish, although it will create some divergence, but for now, it's still trending. Litecoin, same thing, probably hits our next target somewhere down around 530,000 Satoshis. Weekly stocks wrecked, weekly RSI wrecked. Do we have maybe a small bounce in the lower time frames? I don't know about that. That one looks a little bit more sloppy. What about Stellar? Yep, just continuation. It's the name of the game. What about Monero? Do we have continuation here? Nope, we're looking for a bouncy bounce here, it looks like. Maybe back up to like 655,000, but still longer term time frames are heavily bearish here, so probably looking for continuation overall. What about Ripple? Me nipples? Probably a little bit of a pullback. Well, nope, we kind of already had that. We did hit almost a 2,800 Satoshi target that we were looking for the other day. Not quite, but close enough, and I'd be looking for continuation to the low side of the range, 2450-ish region, looks like. Let's go look at some dollar pairings, and I'll try to keep this video a little bit on the shorter side here. Mr. Buterin versus dollar. Let's see. Daily looks daily. I mean, daily is still downtrending very hard. If it does get another leg up, I would be looking for a move up here to the 21, right around 139. And I do think that it does get another try to the upside. If Bitcoin rallies up, it's going to mirror whatever Bitcoin does. But if Bitcoin does, get another try to the upside, I would be looking somewhere around like 139, 140-ish region. What about Litecoin? Same thing. This test of the 21. If it can actually close above the 21, I'd look for extension up here towards $46. But we did hit the $41.5 target. Actually, even exceeded it a little bit here. I'm gonna imagine that we have some major. No, we don't even have bullish divergence on this. That's kind of crazy. I actually don't feel all that confident about the altcoin charts here. They are in bounce territories, but they're gonna mirror whatever Bitcoin does. I don't know. Both Butyrol and Litecoin actually look immediately bearish more than anything else. So I am a little bit lost here, because I'd actually be looking for bounces on most things rather than continuation. I mean, Stellar, same thing, continuation. This is atrocious. Rejected at the 10. I mean, it's pathetic. Monero, what's Monero doing? It's been a little bit on the stronger side in comparison to the other shitcoins in this market, although everything pretty much does move together. Same thing here. It's still trending very hard to the downside. What about Ripple Me Nipples? 19 cents. The trend continues. Now, do we have maybe a small pullback here? I mean, we kind of already got that. If things get a little more crazy, I'd look for a move to like almost 21 cents. But again, going to do whatever Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin moves up, I'd probably be looking right around there. EOS, same thing, maybe back up to like 269 if Bitcoin gets a bounce. But most of these things look like they want to come down first. So I'd be looking for this one to come back down to like 248 first. Neo, same thing. I'd be looking for it to come back down to like 868. And then we'll see if it bounces there or not. What about Tron? Pretty big move down. I'd be looking for it to retrace a little bit more, like 1.4 maybe. What about Bcash? Probably comes back down, tests around 192. But again, going to do whatever Bitcoin does. So if Bitcoin's going to come back down and test around like 73, maybe 72.50, I would be looking for a lot of these guys to retrace some of their run yesterday. BNB, same thing essentially. But I do think that Bitcoin is actually medium term, probably going to try some more upside. On a daily, we still are maintaining, we are still maintaining lower highs, but I don't think, I do think that the bearish momentum is waning here. So if we are going to play out more downside, I don't think that we like make new lows from this region. I do think that we probably have a retracement, but I think that we're probably going to test some more upside before like if Bitcoin is going to remain bearish on the higher time frames and play out downside. It probably doesn't happen for a little bit of time. Let's go check out the Bitcoin VWAP ratio, do the daily dues on this one. We have actually not seen an update just yet, so unfortunately the read here is not going to be any different than what we saw yesterday, so it's unfortunately unhelpful right now. Let's go take a quick look at traditional markets. Bullish as fuck. Been bullish on this one for a while, and because of this phenomenal close that we saw on Friday, we can now once again move up the point of like letting go of short-term bullishness, and that would be right here, right around about 318 and a quarter. If we do lose that area, I wouldn't necessarily turn around to being full bearish, but I would expect some more downside, probably back down to like 315 after that, after a small bounce here. Now this area right here is a critical point at which I would say if we do start to lose 315, I wouldn't be short or medium term bullish. I'd be looking for further retracement, but I don't think that happens actually. All higher time frames here look very good. Looking at monthly is going to close basically as continuation of breakout is what it's going to do, assuming that we don't like come back down to, let's call 315 and close there, which is possible. I mean, it's not too far away from where we are right now. Weekly momentum oscillators weekly Stokes look very, very good here. Weekly RSI looks very good here. Weekly Stokes are what you expect during your strong trending moves. They're going to get caught up here, but probably good for a little bit of a pullback, and then we should meet this trend line somewhere right around the critical zone. It is getting a little bit more aggressive, so we probably are due for a pullback in early 2020, I'd say. But for now, probably going to end the market on a high note, and most of the stronger stocks will follow, of course. In fact, almost all the junk stocks are rallying as well. What about gold? Gold versus dollar, looking good for some upside here as well. We were looking for a small turnaround here the last couple weeks, and I believe that's what we're getting right now. I'll be looking for this move to probably test up into this region here, like 1500-ish region. momentum oscillators on a weekly looking good. Weekly Stokes crossing back up to the upside. Weekly RSI is holding the bullish, just oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone. That's fine. So I do think that we're going to test some upside here. What about, do we want to look at some Forex, maybe some euro dollar action? Another lower high, my friends, another lower high. I'm going to have to remain bearish on this. This is why waiting it out last week was the right thing to do, at least in my opinion, because I'm sure a lot of people got bullish as soon as this wick got above this last prior high. But look at where we closed. We always want to be aware of where the bots and algs are closing these bitches for the week, and we maintain the downtrend. And in fact, it looks like it wants to come back down to 110.3, 110.2 region down around here. So I remain bearish on this actually. Let's see, what else do we have? I think that's pretty much it. Maybe we can quickly check out pound yen. 142 spots, 29. I'd be looking for a little bit of a pullback into the 143.7 region, but I would be looking for a rejection there. I believe that we have a major local high here, which is also a lower high, which is also presenting hidden bearish divergence between going all the way back to like January 2018. But really, these points right here are most relevant as they are closer. And I'd actually be looking for this to come back down over the next like a couple months down to like 137, 136 region, and perhaps even lower than that. I think that this was just a massive fake out to the upside, and we will be coming down. Anyways, let's see. I think that's about it. Let's go back into Bitcoin. Let's wrap up the lower time frames and then call it a day. Okay, so Bitcoin. Lower time frames. I actually do think that Bitcoin probably does pull back, maybe 73, maybe 72.50ish region, fills the gap on CME, something like that perhaps. But I would be looking for a bounce there and another try to the upside, most likely. Now, I would switch around to short-term, medium-term bearish if we do lose, or if we even just tick below really 7,100 essentially. But technically, it's like a little bit lower than that, like 70.80 if you want to be exact. Check your exchange, just the low of last week. If we do that, then yes, I'd be looking for a move back down here towards 6,900, maybe 6,800 in this pocket down here. But for now, the odds I think are in the favor of another try to the upside after a pullback from this region. So yeah, especially as long as we're closing 4-hour dildos above the 200 simple right here, don't really have a reason to be like medium term bearish. I do think that we probably set in the base there and then try again higher. Next sort of targeted region to the upside is going to be somewhere right around about 7,800, give or take a few bucks. And I do think that Bitcoin likely gives a test up there. That's where things get interesting once again. If Bitcoin can actually close above 7,800, just basically above this last high right here, which on a daily is going to be more like 7,750. Lower time frame is going to be 7,800. Then I'd look for extension actually all the way up here towards 82, 8,300-ish region. Again, not going to happen at the snap of the fingers, but probably does happen, over the course of like a week or two or whatever it ends up being. We'll come back to that over time. You get the idea. So cool. I think that pretty much does it for what I wanted to talk about. Again, as long as the daily is above the 21, I'm just not like bearish in a sense. We can pull back into that region. In fact, it looks like we probably want to pull back into that region. Maybe even have some dramas around there. But overall, I do think that Bitcoin is kind of set up for a short-term, medium-term reversal here. We get to test some upsides, but make no mistake, the macro still remains bearish, unfortunately. Doesn't mean that it can't change around. It certainly can, but remember, trading the weekly trends for Bitcoin has been the easiest and really one of the most profitable ways of trading Bitcoin. Anytime that we've had a weekly reversal, meaning higher highs and higher lows, or lower lows and lower highs, that has been your humongous moves in Bitcoin every fucking time. So in this case, unfortunately, can we look at this as like a local high from last week? No, not really. But we can look at this as a local low now, I do believe. And we do have to move like our macro high to 9,500 because of the way that last week's or this past week closed. We can't really make the same sort of analysis off this region right here. But what I can say though is that if Bitcoin does get back above the 55, which is 78.50 on the weekly, which is looking like it's going to give a try here, maybe, then we will destroy the narrative of this being a head and shoulders on the weekly, and no longer will have the targeted region down to the mid to low 4,000s, which is a pretty big deal. So Bitcoin's going to likely have a chance to undo that over the next week or two, I'd imagine. But again, I am cautious in this region. I'm pretty damn cautious in this region. So I'm kind of sitting back right now. I'm going to be at Elsa's parents' house, which is deep in the Finnish forest. So I won't be like as active, I suppose, trading especially this next like few days of price action. So my priorities are gonna like to not be like super disrespectful by fucking being on my phone the whole goddamn time that I'm there. You know, gonna try to spend some time with the family. And so with that said, I think I'm gonna sign off right there. I think that that's about good enough for now. Or I suppose to the upside, we could also say that, hey, you know, looking at this next area right here, if we do get this next move back above 76.50, then there's your extension to about 78.50, right in line with the 4-hour 377 as well, which I do kind of like as the next target, and also your prior high. So a lot of things kind of matching up right there. Let's see how it plays out. Again, I'm more or less positionless. I'm just scalping ranges right now, and that's actually been a really fun thing to do on the Twitch streams. Like, not really to have a bias on price action direction, but, well, I mean, I do have a bias going with the overall trend, but here that's been destroyed. I can't really say the same things that I've been saying for the past week. It's changed. It's quite literally changed. But, you know, scalping the range has been pretty damn fun on that. So I'll probably continue to do that. I'll actually start up a stream after this video in a few minutes here. So again, all the programs are on sale for the rest of the year for 20% off. No code is needed. App is coming out either later today or tomorrow. Also, Jackie's video is going to be coming out later today as well. Need to post that. And what else? I think that's about it. I think it's time for me to wish you another happy holiday season. I will be on Twitch a little bit after this, and I will be uploading videos during this week. But again, I'm going to be with my girlfriend's parents, so I probably might not be as responsive on all the social media venues. So I'll do my best to answer everyone, but please, you know, just understand that have to like do something else at the same time. So with that said, take care, and until next time.